I was walking through Target the other day with my daughters, and they're much older than the age for illustrated children's books. But I was walking through the store, and I saw a children's book facing out towards the aisle, and it said, P is for pterodactyl. And I walked past it, and I thought, wait a second. P is for pterodactyl. That's not a great way to teach kids how letters work and how the sounds work. Why would you do that? And so even though I didn't need to buy the book, and even though the book wasn't meant for me, I went back to look at the book, and sure enough it said P is for pterodactyl, and I was like, well, that's ridiculous, that's terrible, that's stupid. And that's exactly what it said. The subtitle was the worst alphabet book ever. Right? And what a great lesson. Right? We're all trying to be the best. We want to be better than the competition. We want to exceed the standards. We want to achieve excellence. But how do you write the best alphabet book ever? If you were trying to write the best alphabet book ever, what would you do? Who would decide that it was in fact the best? And what could that possibly even mean? If you want your alphabet book to be better than all the ones that currently exist, I think you'd have a pretty hard time, and you probably wouldn't have any success at all, and probably no one would ever see your alphabet book. But it's actually really easy to write the worst alphabet book ever. Other entries in the worst alphabet book ever are things like K is for night and T is for tsunami. All the words where the letter doesn't sound like the letter. It doesn't teach the kids anything about the alphabet. It's hilarious and also frustrating at the same time. It's easy to be the worst. It's hard to be the best, and yet everyone's trying to be the best. I looked it up on Amazon, and it was one of the top 500 books in the whole world on all of Amazon.com, not just in the kids section, but in all of Amazon.com, millions and millions of books. People had to read this book because it was the worst ever, right? My friend Stan and I call this pink goldfish. When you differentiate by doing things that seem wrong, that seem incorrect, that seem like weaknesses, by doing things that seem ineffective. And one of my favorite stories from that is this concept of kintsugi. In the 15th century, there was a Japanese shogun named Ashikaga Yoshimasa, and he had a tea bowl. And it was his favorite tea bowl, and one day it broke, and he wanted to get it fixed, but when they brought it back, he didn't quite like the way it looked, and he sent it back to get fixed again, and he said, I want you to fix it in a way that everyone will know that it's been broken. And when they sent it back to him the next time, they had highlighted the cracks and fixed the cracks with lacquer and gold, and it highlighted all of the places where the bowl had been damaged, and it became the Japanese art of kintsugi, and it became so popular that people were sometimes even breaking their pottery and breaking bowls on purpose because they wanted them to be repaired in such a beautiful way. They weren't afraid to show off the flaws. They weren't afraid to have weaknesses. They weren't trying to be perfect. The goal was, in fact, to highlight the fact that the bowl or whatever had been damaged wasn't perfect. And I think that's a fantastic lesson for all of us. None of us are perfect. None of our businesses are perfect. And yet we've been taught that the way to succeed is to make them perfect. But P is for pterodactyl didn't succeed because it was perfect. It succeeded because it was imperfect. Kintsugi succeeds because it's imperfect, and every piece that's fixed is broken in a different way. Therefore, it's fixed in a different way. Therefore, none of them are alike. They're all completely unique. What a fantastic lesson for us. My left arm doesn't work. I'll share more about that in one of my different bed talks, but it's been damaged in two ways. I can't turn it over. I can't turn this hand over, and I can't extend it fully because I was hit by a truck one time and it damaged my elbow. I broke my arm in half when I was a little kid, so it doesn't extend all the way and it doesn't turn over. This arm is damaged, and yet I put my tattoo on this arm. It's one that I use in my speeches all the time because I'm not trying to hide the weakness. I'm not trying to hide the flaw. I'm not trying to hide the damage. I'm actually highlighting it. I'm bringing attention to it. It's personal kintsugi. We can do this in our lives. We can do this in our businesses. We've been taught that the way to succeed is to hide our weaknesses, and it's not. It's to flaunt them. It's to amplify them. It's to show them off. It's to deliberately not try to be perfect, and to see that our imperfections are a fantastic way to stand out. What can you do to do personal kintsugi, to do kintsugi in your business, to highlight the imperfections instead of trying to fix them.